to these meetings. I've got an thank you for that. I've got a wonderful team that I work with. All these events do not happen successfully or don't happen without an amazing team. So I'd just like to give a quick introduction to the team. If you could just raise your hands and maybe shout out your name, and we'll start off with my colleague on the left. That was Amelie, she said, if you didn't hear. Right, I've got a very shy team today.
Coordinator past the windows. Library supervisor.
And we've got. Great. And we've got a number of volunteers outside, and I'm going to introduce you to the table facilitators who are part of the team as well in just a moment. It's a very cozy room that we're here today. So noise will echo. So please do, when you break out into your sessions, allow people to speak, give people the opportunity, try not to overrun and speak, overtake the meeting. So please do give everybody a bit of time to speak and do listen to them. Hope that's okay in terms of some guidance and some housekeeping. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to quickly introduce you to the table facilitators. These are very important people who will be guiding you through some of these sessions. So table facilitators, if you just raise your hands. So we've got a lot of table facilitators around the room, and I'll get them to introduce themselves around the table a little bit later. Okay, we've got some experts. Andrew, you always say you're an expert, don't you?
Right, I'm ready to leave. I'm not sure of this time.
So this time, again, we listened to what you said at the last People Powered Places events, and we brought in experts who look after specific areas. So we've got experts from our community safety team. If you could just raise your hand. So we've got Maria. For youth empowerment, we have experts from the youth team. Hi, Jazz. And we've got Anna as well. Fantastic. And on the back table, we have health and well-being. So the experts on the health and well-being, if you could just raise your hand and if you just let us know your name, please. And oh, fantastic. So we've got Laura from our public health team. So those are our experts. So we've got a lot of experts. And oh, Shay, where's Shay? Shay's at the back there. So Shay's giving a wave. So Shay looks after our highways team. So when we've got any concerns and issues around highways, Shay is the person who can answer every single question. Isn't that right, Shay? All I can see is thumbs up. Brilliant. Okay. So what is People Power Places? You all came, most of you came to the last event. How many of you actually came to the last event? If you can just raise your hands. So, I know more of you came, so you're all very shy today, aren't you? If you can raise your hands if you came to the last event, great, fantastic. So we've got a lot of new people today, so you're very welcome to today's session. So People Power Places. This is one of the largest participatory budgeting programs in the country. So £1.6 million has been allocated for this program. For each neighbourhood, there's 8 neighbourhoods. Each neighbourhood has been allocated £200,000, which is double the amount that was allocated last year. And that was from the feedback that the residents mentioned through all the evaluations, spoke to the councillors, and the mayor signed that off. Where does the money come from? Something called NSIL. So this is neighbourhood SIL funding. And this is where developers come into the borough and there's a charge put onto these developers. And in terms of how that is related into funding, they give us resources, they give us funding. And that NSIL funding is for projects that help to develop the area, help to promote the health and well-being, and promote public spaces and infrastructure. So when you start thinking about your projects and ideas, think about some of these areas. I wouldn't imagine you to remember all of this stuff, but we will be circulating some of this information. And just for your knowledge, we will be having this presentation on the website, on the Co-Create website. And if you wanted to have hard copies, you can come into the library, the community centres, and ask your neighbourhood team, we can print that out for you. Okay. So the first part of this is I'm going to throw a lot of information at you. Okay, so please bear with us. There's going to be lots of opportunities to hear and discuss things with you. So there's 6 parts and 6 steps to this neighbourhood fund. The first part was when we met in May, where you all decided what your key priorities are. And I'm going to ask you a little quiz a little bit later on to actually find out what those 3 priorities are. Today we're at step 2, where we're going to be looking at the solutions. How are you going to be addressing some of those priorities? We want to be hearing about new innovative ideas, some thoughts and some discussions around how we can address those. VCFS, that's volunteer, community and faith sector organisations, get £20,000 that they can bid for, and resident groups and residents can apply for up to £5,000. And we can explain that a little bit later. In October, November time, you'll be voting on your projects, and then we'll be looking to deliver the projects from January 2024. So that's a 6-step process. We've seen this before. Councillor Lewis, around there, yeah? Great. So this is the cycle, and again, we don't expect you to remember all this. We will be circulating all this information. So in the blue at the top, on the first part of the cycle, is all about deliberation, discussions, looking at how you can address some of those concerns and issues. We're putting a number of elements into this session called support clinics, where you can actually, we'll actually be providing support for you to address your particular projects. And then we go into the implementation. So the implementation starts in January 2024, and then you'll start that project all the way through to the following year. Hope that's clear, everyone. Yep. Good. Thank you. So why are we here today? So again, the main objectives for today is to look at those priorities, start to discuss what those priorities are, how you can address those priorities. And at the end of today, we want to be thinking about and hearing about some of these amazing projects that you're all going to be coming up with, or a number of you. Do we have any individuals already thinking about projects? If you can just raise your hands. I know there's a number of you today. If you just raise your hands, you believe you've got some projects going forward? Nice and high. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, any more? Great. So we've got we've got a number of projects for individuals coming through. So that's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so part of this program is that we've ensured that we're engaging with local residents who are part of the shaping of this program. So we've got 15 wonderful working group members who have committed 2 years of their time to support this initiative. So our working group members, we've met twice already. So we met just before the priorities meeting, and then we met, I believe, last week, where we talked about this session today. So working group members, if you could just raise your hands. Yep, so you can see all your working group members. Please make a note of your working group members, because these are the individuals who will be supporting you through the projects that we take going forward. So I'm just going to ask, I'm going to pick on two working group members who are going to maybe say a few words. Session? So let's give Session a round of applause. Session is one of our new working group members.
Hi everyone, I'm Snehashon, member of the lovely working group for People Powered Places, and I would just like to take a minute to tell you all why I joined. Sorry, I was a bit loud. A lot of you might know that I'm a bit young, youngest working group member in People Powered Places. I'm 17, and I joined the working group in order to give the youth a voice. Now, of course, in our lovely Newham Council, a lot is being done to help the youth already, but I believe that with my experience and with the common knowledge that I share amongst my youth peers, I can really contribute to make a difference in the community. I'd also like to learn a lot from my seniors who are very experienced and very knowledgeable, and just generally contribute to making a greater change. And I hope to do that, seeing all of your lovely projects come into effect in January 2024 to 2025. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, thank you very much. Customers speak very well. Very confident. Jazz, you've got a great young man to talk to a little bit later, and Anna as well. Okay, Zena?
I wish I went first because I can't top what you just said. I've been a working group member since May. The reason why I decided to be a working group member is I've got 2 adult children with disabilities. I've lived in Newham all my life, and I really want them to be to get involved in the community and to have a lot of things that they can do. And so with the projects coming along, I'll hope to give the perspective of what it's like for disabled people and to make sure that their views are considered when the projects are being developed and through to all the stages. And I think I'm probably one of the oldest in the working group. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So we've got a couple of wonderful working group members, and on the working group members, we've got councillors, and we've got a number of other amazing working group members, which as this program starts to develop, you get to meet them as we go through. Thank you very much. And I'm just looking online. So we've got some working group members online as well. We've got Syra online. Hi, Syra. Okay.
Hello everyone. Yes, yes, I'm a working group member as well. I had quite a good time last year, so I came back for some more. Really enjoyed myself, got involved in a lot of exciting projects and hoping to get involved in some exciting projects again. Thank you.
Great. So really excited about this year actually with 15 working group members, almost double the amount that we had last year. And we've got a number of returning working group members also who can bring their skills, can help to mentor and provide advice and guidance. And we have counsellors on that working group as well. Okay, can you go back in? Okay, so the quick quiz, right, I'd like you to raise your hands. What were the 3 priorities for Green Street? So if you raise your hand, you can just name one. Okay, Layla? Health and well-being. That's the first one. Great, thank you. Any more? Community safety. Thank you, Janet. And Shneson? And youth. How did you know that? And Shneson said that youth empowerment. Absolutely. So those are the 3 priorities that you all decided at the last session. So thank you. So let's give you some key facts about each of these priorities to help you think and start to generate some ideas on how you're going to be addressing some of these issues going forward. So people in Newham have poorer health outcomes than the population overall. Newham also has the worst healthy life expectancy than London and England for men and women. That's the number of years in which people are in good health. So when you start thinking about your project ideas, you may think about how your project improves the health and well-being of individuals through social care, tackling health inequalities, improving life expectancy, and supporting people to age well, and also potentially looking at loneliness, isolation, and mental health. So those are some of the things around some key facts. This slide just gives you a quick overview, and we've got some of these on each of your tables. So each of the tables around the room are themed. So the front 2 tables is community safety, the second 2 is around youth empowerment, and the table at the back is health and well-being. So last year, in previous years, £5,000 was allocated to Mealy Social Club, and this was to support younger adults with learning disabilities and mental health. Generation East was awarded £13,000 to provide and support BSL storytelling for children and providing deaf awareness training. Has anybody heard of Good Gym? Yeah. So Good Gym is a national organisation that supports isolated individuals by organising runs, walks and cycling, and help to develop community gardens, help to shape the local environment. Thank you, Chris. Community safety. So let me go through some of the key facts for community safety. There's been a substantial drop in the proportion of people feeling safe in Newham. So that's 13 in 20 residents feeling safe during the day, 3 in 10 feeling safer after dark, and 6 in 10 feeling safe in parks and open spaces. So there's a theme here around community and personal safety. Over 2/3 are now worried about being a victim of crime. So we've got a youth specialist, we've got a community enforcement and safety specialist here, Maria. I'm just putting you on the spot. So when you start to think about your projects and your ideas, start to think about how your project can address women's safety, tackling the crime and antisocial behaviour, the core roots of that, and improving the feeling of safety during the day and night, including parks and open spaces. Okay, I'm just going to give it just a minute for people to settle down. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so some of the projects and ideas that have been generated in the past. So this project, Safer Streets, was delivered in Glasgow around developing a neighbourhood watch scheme, patrolling local areas, providing advice and guidance. We had a drug reduction programme delivered here in Green Street last year, and this was around supporting families, ethnic minority families, around increasing drug awareness. So that project has almost come to an end now. Thank you. Okay, and the last one, just to give you a flavour of some of the key facts around youth empowerment. And again, we've got Jazz and we've got Anna here, experts in their fields. So any questions you have about youth, these guys can answer every single question for you. Let's put you on a bit of a challenge. No, I'm only kidding. So Newham has the second youngest age profile of any borough in London. Over 9 in 10 are aged under 65. There's a young people's charter, and through this charter, young people identified things such as what was important to them around creativity, about building relationships, community health, keeping people safe, the environment. So these are all what young people are saying about this borough. So when you start thinking about projects and ideas, start thinking about how we can enable children and young people to reach their full potential and making sure that they're safe. Think about activities for children and young people, making sure that they, again, around their safety and their well-being. Thank you. So some projects that have been delivered in the past. A youth football club, they were awarded £4,000. In the Beckton Globe, £5,000 was allocated to improve the multi-use games area. Youth theatres, last year Green Street delivered a wonderful youth talent programme, so hopefully we can build and shape on that. Thank you. I'm going to ask Jazz, would you be okay just to, we've never had, through these types of events, youth has always been high on the agenda, but I've never been voted on. I'm really pleased that this time around that youth was actually voted by the residents of Newham. So Jazz, you can actually come to the front, or you want to stand there?
I can come to the front.
So a round of applause for Jazz, who's the service manager for youth services.
I feel like in Japan now. It's a presentation. Oh, thank you for that. And thank you for teaming up today and letting us know what's going to happen and how we're going to work through it. I'll just wait for the presentation to load up. So what I'm going to share with you, 5 minutes, or slightly less than that, to share with you about youth empowerment services, our vision for the borough and our vision for young people. So this is what we're looking for. We want all young people to feel safe, realise their potential, and to have influence in the system as well that they live within. It's also to work across the youth work sector in supporting Newham as a youth work sector and supporting young people do best they can be. What we're about in youth empowerment services is that we're here to support every young person within Newham. We're not precious over membership, over who's where. If we've got knowledge to share with the voluntary sector, we'll share that knowledge and vice versa, and any learning that we get from that. And developing those partnerships is hugely important for young people to be the best they can be, and for us to give the opportunities that young people deserve for living in this borough. Next slide, please. Tech. All right, children and young people. So we want them to feel safe, feel valued, have influence, and realise their potential. Next slide, please. And the outcomes you want to achieve for young people. So young people feel safe from accessing our services. Within that, they will feel safe in the environment that they're in. They'll also learn about youth safety and about how to keep themselves safe, and also have an input into the system and how other young people feel about what makes them feel safe and what is safe and what isn't safe. And obviously that intelligence is shared with other service areas within the local authority, within the voluntary sector, with police, and to support young people feeling safe in the borough, not only moving around the borough, but accessing programs. And most young people who access that service, because some young people just dip in and they don't access, they only access small programs. Others we have a lot longer. So we would want them to develop a social emotional learning, and that's underpinned by responsibility, empathy, problem solving, initiative, teamwork, emotional management. Now that has come from the National Youth Agency. What I must say is that we work in partnership with National Youth Agency, which is connected to the government, and they're the leading body within this in the country in terms of supporting youth work. We're also working with Central Youth Impact, which is a leading international organisation that looks at impact measurements and how you can measure the impact you're having on young people. And it's not the word term used magic, like magic just happens there. We want to define what that magic is and how it works, so we can replicate further. And also just let you know, we, DCMS, so national government, are also looking at what we are doing in Newham. We don't empower young people, I will make that very clear. What we do is we create environments for young people to empower themselves. Nobody can empower anybody, only a person can empower themselves. All we can do is create an environment for young people to empower themselves. So we're coming from that position. We are also the only borough in the whole of the country who are investing to the level that we're investing into youth services. We're the only borough in the whole of the country working back to the level pre-cuts when David Cameron came in. So we're nearly there. We're not quite there, but we are there. We're the only borough. So I'm connected with lots of youth organisations, lots of boroughs in the country who are basically asking me and our service what we are doing and how we're doing it, because they want to try and replicate what we're doing, because they've got budgets of 100 grand to work with the whole of their borough with young people. And also young people to get nationally recognised qualifications, and that's ASDAN, it could be Duke of Edinburgh. We can cycle through the next one. So quickly, the mechanisms in which we do this, we do youth zones, so that's the physical spaces, physical youth clubs, we call them youth zones. We have them all over the borough. We have commissioned youth zones as well. So technically, any young person within Newham should be able to walk or cycle to a youth programme, a positive youth programme. We have detached work, youth work. We have members of the detached team. We have Shahid here from the detached team here representing, and I think we have Sim online as well. And they work informally with young people. They take basically the youth club on their back to wherever the young people are. And they will work with young people in the locations where the young people choose to be and support them to be the best they can be within those areas as well. We have a participation team who's looking at underrepresented young people within our borough to give them a voice. So they're able to actively take part in the borough and also have influence the system in terms of what works for them. They also run the youth assemblies where we will have young people run, and that will be picking up things like environment and young people's employment. These are all run by young people, supported by young people. We have an intensive program that's working intensively with young people who are known to the system to support them through that system and to give them more opportunities, because give them a bit more wraparound support. We have a return home interview, so if young people goes missing from home, we have a statutory duty of finding out why they've gone missing. What can we do to intervene? Is there anything that we can do? Do police need to be made aware if there's any potential grooming involved or anything of such? Children rights advocacy, that's young people who are known to the system, is to advocate for them within the system. Sometimes a young person's voice gets lost within when you work with multi-agency, so it's important to advocate for that young person, that their rights and their voice is also being heard. We have accredited programs, which you can see there, and a youth empowerment fund. I don't know if everybody knows what the Youth Empowerment Fund is. We're the only place in the whole of the country doing this, where young people can directly apply for 3 levels of funding. So up to £100 is one level, up to £1,000 is another level, and up to £2,500 another level. Mayor Oksana came up with this idea. I manage it and try and make it a vision come to life. It was a new magazine recently. All I want to say is it's an amazing fund that young people can go for directly. So give you a couple of examples. We've had a young man who wanted to build their own PC because he wants to learn how to build their own PC, learn about gaming, programming. Now, that's a multi-billion-pound industry now, and there's going to be massive gaming suite going to be made in Stratford. He applied for a computer for £2,000. A young people's panel, independent young people's panel, they reviewed the applications. They decided, yes, he deserves it. He's now going on to do great things. We've got a young person who wants to be a pilot, who needed some money to become a pilot, to become a pilot. So now we have a young man from this borough learning to be a pilot. Who's been sponsored by this borough, not fully, but partly sponsored. He's also got other sponsors that have come in on that. We've got people we've got a marine biologist who couldn't get by the scuba diving equipment and do the PADI course that's required for the course. So they would have missed out, and they would have not, because their parents unfortunately don't have the kind of funding available. We've bought all the scuba gear for them and also the lessons that they need for scuba diving. And the fund is open. I've got all the information on the table, so please come and see me afterwards. Next slide. 5 minutes. And this is just the pictorial version. So we have our service areas, a mechanism of change, outcomes, and the aims. I'm done.
Fantastic. That was a half-an-hour presentation delivered in 6 minutes. So thank you very much. Jazz, we'll be circulating this around, so for you to have a look at this, we'll put this on the Co-Create platform. But we thought, because youth hasn't had the opportunity to share some of their views and what's actually happening, we thought we'd just bring Jazz and his team in. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so how are we all feeling? Feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up for feeling good. Oh, look at that, almost a whole. Councillor, I didn't see your thumbs up. Oh, there. Oh, 2 thumbs up from Councillor Charlene. So thank you. Okay, so there's a lot of information that is being shared today. So we're going to have a little bit of time now for the next 45 minutes to listen and hear from each and every one of you around the tables. Introduced the table facilitators earlier, so they're going to be guiding you through. They'll be guiding you through the exercise. So there's 3 activities that we're going to merge into one. So the first activity is just thinking about some of the solutions to those priorities that you've addressed. Maybe 5-10 minutes, just thinking about those. Activity 2 is starting to think about and look at some of those ideas to start to generate proper thought out processes. And then finally, you're going to be looking at 2 to 3 ideas that you can start to help and shape going forward. And I mentioned that each table has an expert on the table, and those experts can help and guide you through whether that project is viable, whether you need to consider other factors that you may not have thought about in this session. I hope that sounds okay. Does that sound okay? But the table facilitators will be explaining, and on our colleagues online, we've got 2 wonderful facilitators, Colsuma and CG, with some experts around the room. So the time is, it's 20 to 7, so we're going to come back at 7:30. So 7:30, we're going to come back and we're going to hear from around the tables. Okay, so colleagues online and around the room, see you back at 7:30.
Hello, okay. Sorry, my voice started settling down then. So what we will be doing, can everyone hear me? Good. So what we'll be doing is, as we don't have a lot of people online, so we'll be staying as a group. So we'll move to one room, and then as a group we'll decide which priority we would like to discuss, and then we'll take it from there. We can discuss all of them, it's up to you, but so we'll be staying in one room. So I'm just gonna open up the rooms and we'll just go there.
Sorry, Cosimo, can we not just stay here?
Can they hear us? Can they?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Can I
No, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stop the recording.
We're going to ask our colleagues. Thank you. We will ask our colleagues online to give us some feedback as well. But let's do some volunteering. So who would like to volunteer first? Jobble's got the mic at the back there. So which table would like to give some feedback? We've got Layla from West Ham.
Hello, everybody. My name is Layla. Hi, I work for West Ham United Foundation, which is part of the club, but not directly. So we're like the charity arm of the football club. So I'm kind of looking at health and well-being, and that's what we're hoping to put a bid in for. And we've talked about some really good ideas here. The kind of program that we had in mind was a physical activity
and health cafe program. So it seems from what we've talked about here, the health cafe element seems to be like more popular because it combines a lot of other ideas. So I guess if I just, a little outline of what the program was that we originally thought of was a 12-week program that would incorporate physical activity and a health cafe. So the health cafe element would be something that would look at tackling or helping to reduce social isolation and loneliness, and a way of getting people to come together and learn about different health topics. So those topics could range from healthy eating, diet, nutrition, possibly cooking, because there is we were looking at this as a potential venue. So we know there's a kitchen here. So being able to access a kitchen and teach people maybe basics of healthy cooking, maybe cooking on a budget, which is obviously relevant in terms of cost of living and everything. And the exercise element the original idea was to kind of look at two particular long-term health conditions that seem to be underserved in the community or in Newham at the moment. And they are breathing or respiratory conditions and cardiovascular disease, or people that had heart attacks and been through hospital and had cardiac rehab in hospital. So it would be like a 12-week program, which would perhaps be a 3-hour session once a week with physical activity for breathing problems, health cafe in the middle, and then a physical activity session for people with cardiac issues. And people could either come and do the physical activity only, or the health cafe only, or both. There was also talk about an outside area here, a little garden where some kind of activity could be done, for example, yoga or relaxation, stretching, that kind of thing, depending on the space. And how we would refer people or recruit people to the program would be through GP referrals. So that might be through surgeries, healthcare professionals, social prescribers. And we would look at possibly having a self-referral route in to the program as well. And we would aim to obviously promote that to surgeries before, if we were successful before, before it started. What else came up from that? Yeah, there was some talk as well from Laura about possibly trying to target it more specifically. So looking at some of the numbers around prevalence of those particular conditions, so that we make sure we're targeting and hitting the people that really would benefit or that we're trying to look at. We've already got expertise in-house, so we would use qualified instructors that we have to hand already. And I think also we would be quite interested in possibly looking at using volunteers and maybe training people up if the budget allowed for that as well. So I guess the aim would be to make sure this program could be something that would be self-sustaining after that year, because we don't want to just do a year and then leave people hanging. There's got to be some kind of good, positive, sustainable exit routes following that. So yeah, I think that's probably enough from me.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So what I'm suggesting is we go around each of the tables, hear some of the feedback. But if there are other projects on the table that's already spoken, if you really wanted to share those ideas, it'd be great to hear. It would be great to hear from you all. Okay, so who's next? Which table would like to go next? So we've got the youth empowerment table. So if we can get the mic over to Anna's and Jazz's table.
Is it right if I come to the front?
Ooh.
It's a bit awkward for me to turn around and something else. All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So the youth empowerment table, we were discussing upon the topic of youth safety. So we were proposing a kind of youth safety program, right? So having attended secondary school just down on Green Street myself, I've seen my fair share of, wrongdoings, even crimes happening in these secondary schools. And what I've also seen are school bodies who fail to take any real action about it. So we were thinking of a multi-stage, a multifaceted program in order to help increase youth safety and the general consensus in the borough. So this would consist of a youth safety panel. So this will be a group mainly consisting of young people, as well as, for example, community safety officers, council officers, even, you know, safer neighborhood teams from Met Police. And what this group will focus on is holding school bodies to account. So let's say I'm a young person, someone's bullied me or someone's pressured me into doing crime. If I go to my school, if I speak out and say, hey, you know, this has happened, and the school doesn't do anything really worthwhile about it, if they just kind of allow it to continue happening on, I could go to this panel and say, hey, this has happened to me. I've gone to the school, nothing's really happened, and I'm still in this vulnerable position. I'm at risk. So then the youth will ask the panel, you know, what can you do about it? And then the panel, you know, they can take the school's like governing body or staff, they can have a sit down with them and say, we've had this complaint from a student, what have you done about it? And like they can basically scrutinize them to sum it up. So we feel that this will help increase like views of youth safety. If you go to the average secondary school in, for example, Green Street or just Newham in general, if you ask most of the students, or at least like a good proportion of them, you know, do you feel safe? They're not gonna say yes. So building on to this multifaceted youth safety program, we also propose a buddy scheme. So this would consist of vulnerable at-risk youths. They'd be partnered up one-to-one, and this mentor, this buddy would provide them support. So if they have problems that they feel like it can't be shared to, for example, the school board, they'd go to their buddy and say, hey, I've got this problem. Like, do you know anything? Do you know anything that can be done to help? Stuff like that. And then also we discussed the idea of confidence and the lack thereof. So a lot of youths, they see all of these crimes and wrongdoings and whatnot happening, but they won't have the confidence to speak out about it. They won't think, okay, you know what, let me go to the police or let me go to relevant authorities saying, you know, this is what happened. So we think that if we hold like regular workshops, helping youth to boost their confidence in speaking out against, you know, moral injustice, even legal crimes, it can really help increase the general youth safety in the borough. So we want to commence this in the time period as a pilot. We don't want this to be, you know, kind of a 1-2 year thing, and the students are just left hanging like, oh, you know, where do I go now? We want this to be a pilot. If it works out well, we'll continue it to many more years, apply for more funding, and so on and so forth. So yeah, with this program, we think that we can also bring together various authorities, Newham Council, school bodies, even young people in general, the police, whoever needs to know. We can bring them together for a centralized platform of youth support. So yeah, that's the idea.
Great, thank you very much, Shneshan. I think Shneshan's come to revolutionise the whole of Newham there. That's fantastic. So, Shneshan, for that project, did you have a project lead that wanted to take this idea forward?
Not yet, but we're still working.
Okay, let's see how this project develops going forward, but fantastic ideas, guys, thank you. Okay, so let's carry on around the room.
Sorry, can I go next?
Yeah, so we've got...
Okay, good evening. My name is Rochelle, and I was actually sat on the wrong table, but it ended up being a very fruitful conversation. I'm a resident of Newham, born and bred, worked in the charitable social sector with young people for the last decade, and I live in Green Street. And I was also on the working groups in 2021, and then proposed a project last year. But anyway, so we spoke about community safety, and there was a lot of different ideas that we came up with. But one of the main ones that we thought of that could address all of them and tie it all in, and I think there's been a theme about sustainability and a cultural shift that residents can kind of take the lead, was a central forum So similar to this working group where we have designated community meetings, and it gives us a chance to talk with the work panel, the Safer Neighbourhoods team from the Met Police, police commissioners, address youth crime. As some of you may or may not know, there was a stabbing recently in West Ham Park. Liaise with outreach workers, and also we could address litter picking and do some, so it's all rounded. You know, different events and different objectives could be addressed with this, and the way we could engage young people is by doing like little competitions. So say for example, we've done a litter picking morning on a Sunday. The person with the heaviest bag, they win some entry into a raffle competition for the latest iPad or whatever it is that young people like. You know, try and engage people in that way, where we're co-producing projects as opposed to just expecting the police or Newham's sanitary waste department to deal with things, actually taking ownership back of our streets, and engaging the community on a regular basis, whether that's monthly or quarterly. And then we spoke about neighbourhood watch, but that would be with trained outreach workers who are trained in conflict management and de-escalation skills, and we'd have to do a bit of partnership work with you know, in terms of the right way to restrain people, or we could buddy up with the community police. But the idea of this is to keep residents informed, identify unsafe areas, and to kind of like, you know, like with the incident with West Ham Park, you know, if we had like a patrol team, a community awareness team who were in that area, maybe the outcome of that unfortunate case could have been different. And then we've got make alleyways more visible, brighter, safer. So for example, behind Hamaragar, is that correct? Yeah, there's an alleyway. And at the moment, as you may be aware, they're removing the public toilets to make it more greener and safer and nice, prettier. But there's still people communing around the back and defecating and taking drugs, and it's still not ideal. So what we were thinking is making that space cleaner, putting in a mini skate park, putting in lighted hopscotches, things, you know, nice scented plants, things so that, like the miniature pocket parks, people are more respectful of those spaces because they know actually this is in use. We can't just we can't use substances here. We can't urinate or defecate here. So those were some of the ideas. Did I miss anything?
No, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. So lots and lots of ideas there. It'd be really interesting to find out how that culminates into a project there. So that's brilliant. So I'm going to go online. Consumer CG, good to get some feedback from some of our residents online.
Yes, we do. We have Simone. Simone, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so Simone's going to give us feedback.
Right. So, what we discussed in our group. Actually, I'm from Hope for Humanity. So I'm representing Hope for Humanity, and what we discussed in our group was the ideas that we have that we would like to, that we will be making an application for. And as I've explained to all ladies, that we've done the health and wellbeing program, which has been very, very successful. And what we found is that the residents was saying that the time was too short and that they would like it to be extended. So we had ladies coming in, and they had we had martial art training, which was just empowering young ladies that and children of how to feel more confident when they go out. And as you guys have fairly mentioned about the incident that has happened, and I know a lot of them might be feeling a bit timid again, seeing that has happened. So even more that we want to push it, that we should just get our ladies and young children more confident and doing the martial arts, which would enable them to feel more safer when they go out on the streets. We also talked about doing lessons, cooking lessons for healthy eating, because a lot of time people think that eating healthy and preparing healthy meal is too expensive, and they will go shopping and they will walk past the healthy stuff because they think it's too expensive. So we want to run courses where we teach them how to make healthy food for their families. Because what we said, when we have the kids in our camps, it's all about healthy eating, but it doesn't make sense that you give a healthy meal at lunchtime, but when they go home, their dinner is not a healthy dinner. So we want to educate mothers and fathers how to make healthy food for their families. That's not going to cost a fortune. And again, it will cut down on obesity, and people feel better in themselves when you've exercised, you've eaten well. So that's one thing we do. We also talk about running sessions for children, for dancing sessions, again, improve quality of life, boldness, people more confident. So we will be actually putting in these application in. And again, we talked about running our session in the community club where you guys are sitting down nicely, because we've had our session there before. And you know, staff, they've been really good to us when we worked there. So yeah, that was what we talked about in our session. Really. We haven't done budgeting as yet, which we will do at a later stage and let you know. But that's the application that we'll be putting forward.
Great, thank you very much for that, Simone, from Hope for Humanity. And we've got some at the back there. Okay.
Hi, I'm Melinda. Good evening, everyone. In our health and well-being, we are proposing a community garden mural, which will be at the back of this center. It aims to raise good spirits, improve health and well-being, outreach the community on the street, and to engage youth and community. Involve youth centers, schools on the project, and on the mural itself, we're going to have bird cages, diverse people from the community, fruit, vegetables, and bright colors, and seed library, and graffiti artists. It aims is also to keep youth off the street and engage in the project. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so I think we've got, is it one more table left? We've got two more tables, okay? So just a couple more minutes on each of the tables. So, Avjot.
Thank you very much. So our table was focused on youth empowerment. So just following up on my colleague said, obviously there's many different strands you can use and follow to try and deal with youth empowerment. And one of the themes that we focused on is trying to actually upskill and level up the youth. Youth don't know what to do with their spare time. And a lot of times youth are confused. They don't know what they like. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know if they want to go into uni or college or whether they want to do an apprenticeship. It's because they don't have experience. So what we want to do is be able to give them experience. So during their school years, give them opportunities. So create a platform in which you young people can go on, where we have vetted businesses on this platform, and young people can apply for work experience in their local area in multiple different trades and businesses. Let them get a taste of what's out there, understand what they like, what they don't like, what they're good at, what they're not good at. And that will kind of shape them into, okay, what do I want to do now going forward? What do I like? What am I good at? And if they become really good at it, they can even make a little bit of money on the side while still studying. And that ties in with community safety, because if young people, it's all about what they want to make money, at least in a particular culture, it's about making money. But if we give them opportunities to make money in the right way, they don't need to go on the streets and find legitimate ways. So it's really about giving them opportunities to upskill themselves. And I think what we can do is by creating and developing a platform, an online platform, a website, an application, we give them the opportunity to find opportunities for themselves, and that's sustainable, because once it's created, it's there forever. It doesn't need to keep being managed. So that's one of the ideas we came with.
That's great. Thank you very much for that wonderful idea. Brilliant. We are running short on time, so I'd like to make sure that every table has the opportunity to speak, but we can, if we do have some time, we can come back. So this last table here, who do we have on this last table here?
As a group, we decided we're doing the topic on community safety, and as a group, we had a lot of suggestions, but we decided as a collective that one of the more important ones was activities for young kids. So it's more educational and leisure, and on the educational side is going to be tuition. So helping kids who struggle with like maths, English, science, and create a homey and homey and safe haven atmosphere. It's going to be targeted to ages 12 to 18, so specifically at year 7 to year 13. So I feel like as a child, as a teenager myself, I know kids and teenagers don't necessarily ask for help and try to go on and try to push through by themselves. But I think we need to break that stigma that it's okay to ask for help and to, come together as a community. It's going to be in a new community sentence or a school maybe. And we think it's going to be subsidized by the local government, but then we'll also try to do crowdfunding, funding from businesses. And we decided we're going to target around 20 to 30 students or people. And yeah.
Great, lovely. Thank you very much. Can you see there's a pattern going across this room? All our younger population are coming up and addressing things. So absolutely well done. So fantastic, so brilliant. Okay, so we've heard from around the room. We're going to go back onto the presentation. We've got about 15 minutes left. So just kind of wrapping up for today. Thank you all very much for all your comments and all your feedback. What we really want to see now is those ideas and those suggestions coming into physical applications, okay? So applications are now open and available, and they opened on the 20th of June, and the last date that we can accept application is the 3rd of September. You might think that's quite some time away, but with the summer holidays and people going away, there's not that much time. So please do come and speak to your neighbourhood team or put your applications in. That'd be great. Thank you, Chris. What we did, we listened to what you mentioned at the last time, at the last round of events. We're talking about support. So we've offered these support clinics. Today you've got experts from around the organisation. We've held a number of project clinics where you can get some advice. So again, this is going to be circulated. So please do have a look. And this is about support for your application, how to cost your project, and how to run consultations. It's very important that you consult with the residents when you're looking to do community projects. Okay, so around the room, we've got councillors from around the room. So these are your councillors in the Green Street neighbourhood, and they've been around the room introducing themselves, giving themselves a wave. So please do grab your councillors at the end should you need to. Okay, so I'm going to kindly ask Councillor Charlene McLean to close today's assembly. We've got a couple of announcements after, but I'd just like to hand over the stage to you, Councillor. This is quite amazing. Councillor Charlene was here literally about 15-20 minutes ago. How do you do it, Councillor?
Well, hi, Saeed. Yeah, that's the magic of having a hybrid meeting. So it was great to hear some of the discussions in the room, and then also to be able to hear the discussions online as well. And I'm really excited about this cycle of the people-powered places, because there's so many brilliant ideas that we've heard. And it's great that there's a lot of younger people, as you said, that are involved in the process, especially as, youth empowerment is one of the priority areas. And it's only right that the youth should, come up with some of the ways that they are empowered, because it is for them. Just wanted to take this opportunity just to thank everyone for coming along, to the working group members who work really, really hard. It's an arduous task, but it's very, very much appreciated. And also to the staff from the neighbourhoods, because you introduced them earlier on, and there's a lot of officer time that goes into making this process a success. And also to our experts who, they don't know everything, but they can help to guide your ideas to make sure that they're sustainable and that they actually can be delivered if they're successfully voted on. So as you said, September the 3rd is the closing date for the applications. And I would really urge everyone there to give it a go. You never know, you might have picked up some ideas that were discussed on your tables that, you wanted to put something forward but didn't quite know. So maybe, hopefully tonight has given you some ideas and some food for thought to be able to put something through. I think I've thanked everybody, Irina and the IT people, and also to your local councillors that are present in the room, as Saeed said. Brilliant. I'll leave it there for now. Tell your friends and neighbours to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shine. Okay, so with all events and activities, we've got evaluation forms. So the really exciting stuff. If you could fill those evaluation forms before you leave, we'd be grateful for that. Thank you to all our online participants, councillors, working group members, facilitators. That's amazing. I do believe Simon wants to just say a couple of words before we end today's session. So.
Yeah, I'll just keep this short and sweet. I'm Simon Ware, Resident Involvement Manager within the Housing Service. We've got Newham Housing Community Fund Days coming up, and the one for this area will be at May Green, which is just off Queen's Road West, on Wednesday, the 9th of August, with 12 till 5. We've got magic, music, face painting, housing services, and lots more besides. So please join us there. If you want any more details, have a word with me afterwards. Thank you.
Lovely. So thank you all very much. Get those application forms in 3rd of September. Everybody have a safe journey, and thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you. See you next time.
We can leave now. There's no debrief or no? Free to go?
Yes.
Oh, that's